guys, welcome back to Koulie Kyle, and we are reading through Exodus, chapters 33 and 34 today. We're going to get into it, and Nicole's got the echo effect going over here. So, anyways, guys, thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to get into this, and then we always get into a bunch of other things, but I do have a 10 a.m. this morning, so. Um, it will take we'll probably get into this for 45 minutes, but if it goes that far, we'll see. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read a paragraph, and I'll look for comments or questions. We get a lot of debate in this, which is cool. Elizabeth Parker, welcome. So let's do this thing. This is the command to leave Sinai. Says in chapter 33. Then the Lord said to Moses, Depart and go up from here, and the people whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt to the land of which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, To your descendants I will give it, and I will send my angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, and the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Go up Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in your midst, lest I consume you on the way, for you are a stiff-necked people. And when the people heard this bad news, they mourned, and no one put on his ornaments. For the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, You are a stiff-necked people. I could come up into your midst in one moment and consume you. Now, therefore, take off your ornaments, that I may know what to do to you. So the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by Mount Horeb. What kind of ornaments were they wearing?
Hmm.
Kind of interesting. We could search that.
Take off your ornaments that I may know what to do with you.
And yeah, look, and they are, it is stiff-necked, is saying that they were filled with stubbornness and resistance to God's guidance, characteristics repeatedly attributed to the Israelites in the Old Testament. Well, I think, and that is kind of the theme, right, of them as a people, and we know it happens with them as the in terms of the olive branch as well. Uh, Caleb, God will guide you. Oh, you don't think he's real? Well, you're going to have to explain why if you care to. But thank you for joining Bible study. I appreciate it. It says Moses meets with the Lord. Moses took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of meeting. And it came to pass that everyone who sought the Lord went out to the tabernacle of meeting, which was outside the camp. So it was, whenever Moses went out to the tabernacle, that all the people rose, and each man stood at his tent door and watched Moses until he had gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, when Moses entered the tabernacle, that the pillar of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And the Lord talked with Moses. All the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose and worshipped, each man in his tent door. So the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. And he would return to the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not depart from the tabernacle. And Caleb, you said God tested Abraham to see if he would commit child sacrifice. And that is true. So you did read that story. What did you think about it? I imagine you probably did enjoy it. Most people do not. Next, we're going to talk about the promise of God's presence. Verse 12, chapter 33. Then Moses said to the Lord, See, you say to me, Bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, show me now your way, that I may know you and that I may find grace in your sight, and consider that this nation is your people. And he said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Then he said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. For how then will it be known that your people and I have found grace in your sight, except you go with us? So we shall be separate, your people and I, from all the people who are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord said to Moses, I will also do this thing that you have spoken, for you have confessed. He had, I don't know if we're, oh, we're back on. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I got a cell phone call. Huh, we are back. Okay. Cam says, my dad before dying confessed he did occult practices to gain wealth, but his part of the deal was to sacrifice his wife or eldest son, or he will die after 5 years. He refused the sacrifice, so he died. That's super intense, Cam, and I'm sorry to hear about that. But I do believe that that part of the spiritual realm is also very alive and I wouldn't say well, but it is operating at that high spiritual level. Child sacrifice is wrong, so why would God reward obedience of something that's wrong? Well, you got to remember, Caleb, in which part of the Bible you're reading, because what we're reading right now is also talking about a lot of these Old Testament practices that these are things, I mean, they were still sacrificing back at this point too. So you have to read it through the right lens. And I think that that's important to kind of understand. But I think that there is also the test of obedience, right? So, um, but God provided, I mean, in that essence, God provided the sacrifice, right? So I don't know. I don't know what is on God's mind or his heart, but that is definitively one thing that we are called to in obedience because we don't necessarily know where he's leading us or why. Um, Cam said, so you're talking about your dad. He was very wealthy, but after he died, like his wealth had vanished. We lost everything. He had left us in a span of 2 years. That's horrible, and I'm sorry to hear that, Cam. Um, Mustafar, how are you? Crystal Ball Fitness, how's it going? Karma, hail Satan. Well, you're in the right Bible study because we're waging spiritual warfare on Satan. So, welcome. Yeah, sorry, Caleb. And I think it was because I got a phone call. So I apologize, guys. I need to remember to turn that off before I start streaming. So in verse 18, I'll come back to some of the comments here in a minute. But we're reading Exodus, so chapter 33, verse 18 says, and he said, please show me your glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will have compassion on who I will have compassion. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. And the Lord said, here is a place by me, and you shall stand on the rock. So it shall be, while my glory passes by, that I will put you in the cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand while I pass by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen. So, in chapter 34, it talks about Moses making new tablets. Crystal Ball Fitness says, just join. We're discussing the spiritual faith-filled aspect. I think I can disable the. Looks like it's wanting to come back on. You can disable the. Oh, we're back. Sorry, guys. Another phone call. Disable the cellular in there in the settings. I just forget every time to do it, and then I get phone calls. So, chapter 34. And the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I will write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. So be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there, on top of the mountain. And no man shall come up with you, and let no man be seen throughout all the mountain. Let neither flocks nor herds feed before that mountain. So he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moses rose early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai, as the Lord had commanded him. And he took his hand the two and he took in his hand the tablets of stone. Now the Lord descended in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of the Lord. And the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, The Lord the God, merciful and gracious, long suffering and abounding in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and the children's children to the third and fourth generation. So Moses made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshipped. Then he said, If now I have found grace in your sight, O Lord, let my Lord, I pray, go among us, even though we are a stiff necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us your inheritance. So that's the end of that portion. I'll read a couple comments here real quick. Do you have any thoughts, Nicole? No.
So far.
Okay. Did we remove all the ridiculous comments? I don't read something. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna drag this over here so I don't have to read the size 8 font on my phone. So let's see. Hi, you're Brazilian. Pray for Brazil, Wagner. Definitely, we will. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Igtimisi. Greetings from Turkey. I want to thank you for this valuable broadcast and also congratulate you on your esteemed self. Well, thank you. It's not about me, but I do appreciate that. And I am happy that you're here and all the way from Turkey. That's long distance. Michelle, you're back. How's it going? Where was God during the pandemic when he allowed over 6 million people to die? Or what about more recently? Those 30 school girls drowning in that bus. If there is a God, he is either not all powerful or not all good. Well, I don't think that he ever made a promise, Michelle, that there was not going to be evil within the world. So through through our choice and decisions, we are given that choice, right? And I think that God doesn't necessarily owe us anything. He's not owing us salvation here while we live. That's never a promise that I believe is made. Nathalie, pray for Europe. We are Islaming because of, I don't know what that word is, voting results and corruption. I have heard of that. And I apologize. No, I don't apologize. I am saddened to hear that, just because I know that that brings a lot of things that are not good. And maybe you can shed some light on what is happening over there, just because I don't think a lot of people around the world are aware of that. Nathalie. Michelle says, let me guess, God works in mysterious ways. Well, of course he does. And he works in time frames that we don't understand or comprehend. Um, what's up, Caleb? I'm cooking. I'm going to try to cook. I'll do my best, guys. Cam, that's all right. She controls she wants. She's actually been positively contributing, even though she is trolling a little bit, but I'll take it. I think she means well, and she's curious. She wouldn't be here if she didn't want to know. So, Soul Aglo says child sacrifice. No Israelite was commanded to do that in the Old Testament. People who made their sons and daughters pass through the fire, like Baal worship, the god of the other nations, were condemned. Uh, but that I believe that you're wrong about that, because I believe that, I mean, Abraham was, well, he believed that he was supposed to sacrifice his child, right? I'm gonna look that up and just make sure that fact check me, unless maybe I don't want to be adding to this or taking away, but um,
You look what up?
oh, just about the sacrifice. And I don't, that might not have been a common thing, but Kamala, I'm not trolling, I'm speaking facts. Or, oh, Cam, these questions that should be asked. So, Michelle Hitchcock is right about the lens you use being important. Israel and mankind in general demanded leadership from other men, kings, presidents, so that's man made. The whole point is for mankind to have proof once and for all that we suck at ruling ourselves. And that is very true. I think that that's the overarching concept here, right? Is that inadvertently we become our own gods if we do not have something that supersedes us in that. Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Soul is that was what was believed, but then God had stopped him and replaced the sacrifice, right? So, which is also supposed to be a parallel, right, to the Lamb of God, which is Jesus. So that was, and that's basically the separation is that we're going from all of these things that are understood in the worldly ways to a new way of life, which is accepting Jesus, and He paid the price for our sins, so we're no longer sacrificing animals, right, or anything else. Did you pull anything up?
I'm not sure what you wanted me to look
Oh,
up. Suffering
that,
about what?
that's all right. Soul and I just were conversing. Jamie, hi from Caroline, England. How's it going? Um, Prayashnu, I'm in Colorado in the United States. How about you? So I'm going to read into the covenant renewed. Um, so this is giving the backstory, right? This is going back. So I think a lot of people, uh, myself included, we constantly will struggle with where are we at in the Bible because it sounds like you're pulling from different pieces, and it's just important to understand and be able to differentiate uh, what's happening and when. So I'll just try to talk to that because otherwise just like Sol and I, we could have appeared like we're disagreeing, but what happened was a sequence of events, and it's important to kind of understand how those happen. Caleb said God stopped him, but still was testing him to see how willing Abraham was to commit the act. So the interesting part about that, Caleb, in my opinion, is that you could look back at that story, and I think that I don't know where you're at in your life or but typically, the things that God sees us idolizing, He really wants us to surrender those to be able to not hold those out as idols, in my opinion. So, this is all my opinion. But I think that Abraham, to a degree, he idolized his son because if you remember, him and Sarah had kept trying to have a kid and they couldn't have a kid for many, many years. And so it was only until I mean, and they even had a child that was not just theirs; it was of the slave or concubine or whatever she was. So they had what was his name? I can't remember. Who was Abraham's other son? Maybe if you want to search that. But that was basically not with Sarah, and that was out of God's will, in my opinion. Um, but that's how we often try to produce our own solution in when we're done waiting on God to produce His way, right? So I think that to me is a relinquishing or a I guess there's a lot of interesting dynamics to that you could say.
Ishmael?
Ishmael,
Ishmael and Isaac.
I thought okay, I was thinking it might have been Ishmael, but okay, so let's go into um, the covenant renewed in chapter 34, verse 10. says, and he said, "Behold, I make a covenant before all your people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among whom you are shall see the work of the Lord. For it is an awesome thing that I will do with you. Observe what I command you this day. Behold, I am driving out from you before the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. Take heed to yourself lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. But you shall destroy their altars, break their sacred pillars, and cut down their wooden images. For you shall worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, it is a jealous God. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they play the harlot with their gods and make sacrifice to their gods, and one of them invites you, eat of his sacrifice, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters play the harlot with their gods, and make your sons play the harlot with their gods. It's pretty intense when you think
Mm-hmm.
about that, right? As well as I think that the jealousy of God is an interesting dynamic, which a lot of people feel is a very negative aspect, but I feel like it's a very relatable one, right? I mean, and when he talks about infidelity, it's very easy to relate that. But that is, he wants to have our whole heart and our whole mind, right? He doesn't want to share with these other distractions. Um, Michelle, I think you said something. It's always weird when you find overly religious people that believe they have a better understanding or more in touch with God. Well, I don't necessarily think that I don't think that I have a better understanding, but I think if you're spending time in the Word, then that's how you build the relationship with God. And so if you're going to get into it, there's nothing any of you could teach me about God that I don't already know. All right. Well, I guess thank you for blessing us with your presence. I don't know what to tell you, Michelle, but I mean, the whole thing is that we're all kind of seeking answers, right? So maybe, I mean, I would assume, unless you believe that you're in your own omnipotence, that you know more than a wide array of people out there. I'm not saying myself. You could definitely know more than me, and that's fine. I don't have any ego wrapped up in this, but I think that it's for your benefit that you're engaging in this, right? So I actually think it's a good thing that you're here. So I'm glad that you're with us. Um, NorCal Aggie says stop reading the Old Testament. It's completely different religion. Um, so this just so that you know, I'm just painting perspective, NorCal Aggie. It's so that we understand the past, and that leads us into where we're at now in the new covenant, right? When we move over to that, and I think it's important to understand that. So this is just for insight, and if you don't know your past, then you're bound to repeat it, right? Um, Caleb says, "Why does God hide from us and then act like atheism deserves hell? He created us all in a damn state too. That's not fair and not worthy of worship." So I think what's interesting, Caleb, and I come back to this, is that like if you put yourself in the position of like Adam and Eve, I think that it's very telling of our own human behavior that we would all make the same decision, right? Don't you think that you would?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everybody in this chat would have. We get so focused on not getting the things that we want when we want it that we throw away the whole long game. I mean, I see it with the clients I work with on the investment side. I mean, they are so impatient many times, but it's a very slim amount of people that decide to plant those seeds and let them grow and materialize um, into something, into the harvest, right? And I feel like that's just kind of it's a rule of how that dynamic works. So I don't think that God hides from us. I think He's very present, but I do think that you have to look and you have to listen and you have to seek Him, and that's what He desires. Um, Jamie, welcome back. Mo, love this stuff. I think it's great content. I enjoy it myself, and this is just I enjoy taking people with me on this journey. So thank you guys for coming. Soul says, all scripture is inspired of God and beneficial for teaching, for reproving, and setting things straight. Second Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. Correct, Mr. Kyle, is about being in it, immersing yourself. Exactly. And I just don't think that there's any other way. And actually, you can see that. And I think that that's where the evidence starts to uh, appear more real. So to address you, Michelle, is that the evidence of ingesting the living word is that statistically you can see it in yourself change you. So you know 4 more days a week, and then it starts to change actually the the inputs and outputs of